I'm so excited about this conversation because the power of storytelling is no new thing. Griots in Africa, long before they had books and access to standard education, griots were the storytellers of the village. And the griot was responsible. They were the most revered person beside the king, because storytelling is where history lives. Storytelling is where pride lives. Storytelling is where tenacity, resiliency, the human spirit is activated. If desire is the gas, then the story is the turbo boost. So if you have a desire, okay, that's gas. The story of why you want to do what you do, that's your turbo boost. Every single person, no matter what business you're in, what you're doing in the world, you have a story and your story needs to be shared. And it's not just an emotional thing. It's not just to make people emotional. It's for people to understand your why. See, people choose you and then they choose whatever business you're doing. They choose you and then they choose whatever journey you want to invite them on. They choose you first. And then they say yes to whatever it is you're talking about. So your story is the one thing that's unique from anyone around you. Anyone can teach, with all due respect, anyone can teach on speaking. Anyone can teach on the law of physics. Anyone can teach topics. It's just a matter of learning the knowledge. Only one person has your story. So when you look at your USP, your unique serving proposition, it lives in your story. When I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2007, I was on with some of the most brilliant people on the planet, 4 other teachers from The Secret. I was the youngest. I had been in the industry the least amount of time. I was the newbie for all intents and purposes. And I knew that. However, I did one thing that no one else did. I shared my story. Within 72 hours, without having my email address up, without having any information available about me on the show, I received 9,782 emails, which converted in 90 days to just below $400,000. That's what it converted to. So please understand, your story leads to an experience, leads to people choosing you, leads to you serving more, leads to revenues growing. Now, you may not be in it just for revenues to grow, but I got to tell you that when you serve more, share more, feed more, deliver more, you earn more. So stories aren't just a topical thing that feels good. They're relevant, they're necessary. If content that you're teaching and you're delivering, if content were the bricks that are the building blocks to someone's life that you're offering, your story is the cement in between that holds the bricks together. Very necessary. So I'm going to teach you a couple of techniques. So if you don't have a pen, you want to grab a pen and a piece of paper now. If you think about an attorney, attorneys in court, they're just telling a story to win a case. And whoever tells the most compelling story wins the case. Every single thing you touch is impacted by your story. As an attorney, as a teacher, as an architect, there's not one line of business that you can be in that a story and a great story won't elevate your outcome. Every single line of business, every single line of service that you're connected to will be impacted and ideally elevated by the level in which you're willing to tell and share your story. So let me give you some guidelines, some parameters so that you understand what makes a great story. So one is the willingness to take risk. Most people, when they're telling a story, they don't want to take a risk. So the story has its limits on how high it'll go or how deep it'll go. And when you have that, then you're really not at that part that's going to touch my soul. So being willing to take a risk, being clear and concise with your stories. A great story is a show me story, not a tell me story. Now, this is the distinction that's the game changer for most. Most people are telling a story. They say, so let me just share with you a little bit of my story and I'll tell you and then I'll show you. True story. So as I was building my life, there was a time in my life that was very difficult, very challenging, very uncomfortable. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of hope, and things just looked dismal. At some point, I had to turn my life around. At some point, I made the decision that life had to get better. I'm telling you that. It's decent. You learn about me. Then if I were to show you that story, I would say 6 days a week, I had to eat beanies and weenies. I had to find money in the crevices and the corners of my couch so that I can get my son milk. There were times when my heart would beat fast just at what am I going to have tomorrow? At some point, I got sick and tired of my own story. Is this going to be my future? No, I can't handle it. Notice the difference. I just painted a picture. Same story. Now, the second one, when you show a story, it's going to require more of you. It's going to require you to find the colors. What were you thinking? What were you experiencing? What was going on in your head? Instead of telling me you look for money, turn and point. Now, this is anywhere. This is anywhere you are doing anything. I promise you, you become a great storyteller and you will captivate your audience no matter what you're doing. I've captivated investors. I've captivated students. I've captivated educators because I was willing to show the story. I call it unpacking the story. Being willing to tell me, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were you seeing? Think about a story as an oral movie. And so in an oral movie, think when you're looking at a movie, the first thing they do is they identify what state of time it is. Is it futuristic? Is it in the now? Was it back in the day? You notice that based on what people are wearing, how they're talking. So paint that picture for me. Take me to that environment. Set the backdrop up for me. Show me what you're going through. Instead of saying I was angry, you can tell me you were angry. But when you say the hair on the back of my neck was standing up, I felt the fumes exiting my nose. I thought that my chest was going to pop and I was going to say something that I'd regret forever. Ooh, you just showed me you were angry. Take that extra time to unpack it. Why will most people not do that? Because it requires a level of vulnerability that we're not willing to share. You want more from the people around you, give them more of you first. I want to show you a technique called the dip theory. The dip theory is what I did on Oprah that got me 9,782 visitors who found me. The dip theory is what I do on radio shows. They give me 2 minutes. I earn 8 minutes. It's what I did on the Steve Harvey show that got 17, 18 million people viewing my video. But it's also what got the Today Show to call me. When the Today Show called me, I said, oh, you want to interview me about my relationship with Steve Harvey? They said, no, we want to interview about the story you told on the show. Your story will open doors. It will blow doors open for you to the degree in which you're willing to unpack the story. Here's how you unpack it. I'm going to give you a visual. So I want you to make a big V right now on your paper. At the top left-hand corner of your V, I want you to write Big Me, my bio. Now, you can do this anywhere and everywhere. Now, when you see me on a video or you see me live or you see me at an event, watch, you'll say, she's doing the dip. Because I do the dip consistently. As I get dressed every day to speak, I do the dip. It comes with the package because it's one of those no risk. It works every time. So at the top left-hand side of your V, you write Big Me, my bio. That's that my brand is known in 162 different languages. That's that I'm working on my 7th bestseller in my business. That's that I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. That's the Big Me, right? Then you go down to the bottom of your V. The bottom of your V, I want you to write all-time low, challenging moment, difficult time. And in that bottom, that's where you take me to so I see your humanity. That's where you take the risk. And I'm going to show you something I'm going to share with you at the end of telling you about this whole dip. I'm going to show you something that's going to have you go, aha, about why you've connected to some speakers and why you haven't to others. Doesn't mean you don't respect the others. You just don't have a connection to them. You don't have that loyalty. You're impressed by them, but you're not bonded to them. Watch, I'll show you this after I show you the V. So at the bottom of the V is all-time low, challenging. Now you have to know that this bottom place, you have many of them. The one that you would share should be relevant to the topic that you're speaking of in the moment. So if you're speaking about financial freedom, give me an all-time low financially. Don't give me an all-time low about your mom not loving you. It's irrelevant to the conversation. So use the right dip for the right conversation. It has to be dip relevant is what I call it. And so on Steve Harvey, he was talking about transforming your life. So my dip, so I talked about 7 bestsellers, CEO of a multi-million-dollar business, In the Secret on Oprah, all-time low. There was a time where I was broke and broken. And being broke was easier than being broken. There was a time where I didn't have money to put Pampers on my son. I had to sit and wrap my son in a towel for 2 days. And I remember him laying on his back and my hand on his stomach and me promising him, Jelani, mommy will never be this broke again. A good story takes you into the story. You stop telling the story and you start being in the story. And then you come back out and go back out to your audience. See, you were just sitting with me on the couch with my hand on Jelani's stomach and me telling Jelani, mommy will never be this broken. You were right there with me because I took you out. I stopped telling the story and I brought you into the story and showed you my son and I right there on the couch. So that's my all-time low. And then to the upper right-hand side of the V, I want you to now write why I do what I do, my inspiration, why I'm choosing to serve you. So on your upper right-hand corner is your why. And so Jelani, I was at an all-time low. I had no money for him. I had no Pampers to cover him. I had no food to feed him, which is why I'm committed, I'm coming out the V, to make sure that every single person's path that I cross, I leave you more inspired than you were before you met me, that I give you the tools to drastically transform your life into something barely recognizable. My commitment based on my journey is to touch as many people as possible and to put as many tools in their hands as possible to create the best life that they can possibly create. There's your dip. And because you remember their dip, then you begin to connect to the rest of their story. Then you begin to remember their lesson. Now, to the flip of that, the opposite of that, I said I was going to tell you why you don't stay connected to people as well. The people who you don't remember. The reason why, think about that V. Big me, why I do what I do in the world. And here's the glue, that dip. You don't remember people when they jump from the big them to their inspiration without giving you their why. Most people, most teachers, most business people, most successful people, they forget, they avoid the dip and they go from the big them, their bio, to why they want to teach us. And they don't tell us what they had to go through to get there. And we're learning differently now. There's a new generation. There's a new generation of transformational teachers and speakers and coaches and business people and just humanity that are saying, I'm not afraid of my story. My story is my fuel. It's not my fortress. So you have to become very comfortable with your story before you'll ever be willing to share it with us. And you determine the degree in which you're willing to share. You choose the story that you're ready to share, but you find it, you hone it, you master it, and then you use it to inspire others. What you're doing in the world now, because you picked up those 3 stories and a few others, will transform the planet. I share my story for that reason. Your story doesn't ever really belong to you. It belongs to you only for the moment in which you're living through it. Then you shape it in such a way that you can serve it up to someone else. One of the teachers who's on stage came to me and she said, I had a very difficult and scary test that I had to take, an MRI. She said, and I just seen you on YouTube. She said, and I kid you not. She said, I've been looking for you to tell you that I didn't know how I was going to get through that MRI. I'm so claustrophobic. I didn't know how I was going to get through it. She said, but what I did is as soon as I went in that MRI, as soon as I saw the walls closing around me, I closed my eyes and I chanted, quitters never win and winners never quit. Quitters never win and winners never quit. She goes, for 5 minutes, that's all I chanted. And then when I opened my eyes, the doctors were looking down at me saying, we're done. So your story, my story, your story, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the people in the world that need it. You've already lived through it. It's already done. Your job is to learn how to craft that story in such a way that it becomes an instrument for others to use. It's not a performance. And by the way, we're brilliant people. We can smell a performance. We can smell a shtick. We can smell a tap dance. Curtains up. Especially in this time of social media where so much realness is being portrayed every hour of every day. Your story has to be yours. Matter of fact, your story has to have cost you something. And when your story, you're willing to share the story that cost you something. And let me give you some examples. You're willing to say the thing you're not always comfortable to say. You're willing to have the thought and share the thought that you really didn't want to share. You're willing to take us into the place of feeling of vulnerability, discomfort, fear, shyness, distraction, need, and you're willing to walk us through that moment with you. We have more compassion and gratitude for you because we know that you had that option. We know that you had that choice. When you choose to trust us, we choose to trust you. Your audience is going to be a mirror. Your students, your customers are going to be a mirror of what you give them. To the degree in which you're willing to put out your heart, your soul, your compassion, your connection is to the exact degree that your audience, your future customer, your future student is willing to match you with that. I look at my life and I'm in awe of it. I say it in the most humble way. I'm in awe of it because all I'm doing is using my truth, using my story to hopefully inspire someone else. I used to think it has to be harder than this. It can't be this easy. That the more truth I share, the more people fall madly in love with me. Are you kidding me? The more transparent I am, the more I use my truth as a catalyst versus a fortress, the more people say I choose you. Now, coupled with that, I build my skill set as a leader. Coupled with that, I learn systems and ways to transform someone's business. Coupled with that, I learn how to help people get past where they normally stop. So I develop my skill set. Your story isn't enough, but your story is the soil by which all other seeds will be fertilized. See, people will come to you for an experience and then they'll leave you. People will stick with you because they decided that you are their tribe. You are their teacher. That happens in the likeness that they find from you. The likeness is seen in the story. Go back to the V. Go back to the dip that I taught you. Everywhere in your tribe, everyone in your tribe, everyone in your community is right in the middle. You have to go down to pick them up when you come back up. When you go down and come back up, you're picking up everyone. When you jump from top to top, you only get people who are living up there. And the masses are in the middle. They're not at the bottom. They're not even in that destitute place. They're not there. They're right in the middle. And you got to go down and come up and pick them all up. And there's a skill set to that. There's a way by which you tell me who you are without sounding like you're reading your bio. And this is how you do it. I'm going to teach you how to do it. So you don't say, I graduated from. When people start like that, I go, oh, I want to sit with you. Just give me 5 minutes with you. You start like this. Because you're about to kind of brag on yourself. You got a lot. You have a lot in your bio. I need your big part of you as much as I need the depth. I need both. Because I'm a game changer. I work world class. I'm a gladiator. You need to keep my attention. You cannot keep my attention just in that I've suffered. But you can't just read a bio either, because then it's a brag fest. Jan, you're boring me, right? So here's how you do it. Keywords. I'm going to give you very small words that if you lose them, you lose the element. It's the ingredients. My grandmother says, sweetheart, you can't change the ingredients of a sweet potato pie by changing sweet potatoes. You got to always have sweet potatoes. You got to always have some cinnamon and you got to always have some nutmeg. Now you may add some other things to it, but you can't change those. This is like that. Okay. A great dip has these ingredients every time. So when you're speaking about the big U, you intro the big U with, even though I, because you've told me there's something coming after that, and I want to hear what's coming after that. And now I give you permission to do the whole breakfast because I want to hear what's coming. Even though I've traveled the world and spoke to over 30 million people, even though I have 6 bestsellers, even though my brand is known in over 162 different languages, there was a time when I had no idea who I'd be. There was a time when I couldn't figure out what I was going to do tomorrow. Even though I'm a great CEO today, there was a time I was so broken that I would have been of no good to anyone. Do you see how that gave permission to you listing all the things that you're doing? It gives permission. It doesn't change the story. It actually changes my listening. See, a great leader not only controls the content, but a great leader controls and manages the listening. Not from a control base, management, but from a place of responsibility. I'm going to set up your listening so your listening ear is hearing in the right vein through the right lenses that I need you to hear this through. Now, when someone else has introed you, when someone else intros me and they intro the big me, I don't come behind them and do any more of that. So if your bio is big and you're being introduced through a big bio, don't bother to do the big you. Someone else did it for you. My promo reel, when someone looks at my promo reel, it does it for me. So I come out and say, this is what I do to go right into the dip. You saw that? I look at her and who I am today and I'm in awe because that's not who I've always been. Boom. Once you've chosen that we have a likeness, now you want to hear whatever else. Now you're willing to come and be served by me. Now you're come and willing to listen as if she's not that far apart from me. Someone told me once, you remind me of Oprah. And because of that, sometimes I have a hard time believing that I could do what you've done. And I said, oh, well, let me show you some of where I've been. And I talked about credit cards being declined. I talked about robbing Peter to pay Paul. I talked about my son's father going to prison. I talked about being considered clinically depressed and being diagnosed as clinically depressed and prescribed Prozac. And as I did it, her eyes opened wide. And she said, so what do you recommend for me? She instantly became willing to be my student. But for a minute, only hearing my bio, I wasn't qualified anymore to teach her. I had to go to the place where I could pick her up. She's in the middle. So your story is powerful. Your story now can be as short as 2 minutes and as long as 10. I would recommend that you keep your story part of any conversation somewhere between 2 and 6 minutes, depending on how much time you have. Your story should only take up about 5% of your overall time. Otherwise, the conversation is too much about you. Your story is a way in which you build bridges to you and your audience, whoever your audience is. And now once the bridge is built, now teach me viable content. Now, also, a story also can be designed to just inspire the soul. So education teaches you what to do. Stories are designed to inspire the soul. The quitters never win and the winners never quit story is designed to inspire the soul. I tell another story about how I wanted to sit on Oprah's couch. For years, I pictured sitting on Oprah's couch. And when I got to the Oprah show, there were stools there. And I was so disgusted. So stories also have to be willing to reveal the small side of you. You have to take a risk and let people see your smallness. I was on the Oprah show and here I was. I had my moment that I've been dreaming about for 20 years. I wanted to sit on her cream leather couch. She has stools today? Really? Like of all days, you could have stools on the other guests. You got stools. So I just been willing to let my smallness out and it was real. Now in a good show me story, you show the anger. Really? Like where are the stools? Like, come on, Oprah, I need the stools. Now, on the outside, I was going, hi, Oprah. It's a pleasure to meet you. On the inside, I'm going, I want to go to the storage bin. I want to see the freaking couch. I had this vision. I told all my friends, I'm going to smell her couch because Oprah has the best leather, I'm sure. I left the show having had this experience with Oprah and people said, how was it? And I'd say nice, but on the inside, I was like, I didn't see the couch. I had this small but. It was nice, but. So in this story, I reveal how I have the highest acknowledgement of me in media history, and I still have a but. And then you point in a good story, you can point out to the audience right there and interrupt the story. How many of you are living your dreams, and yet in the middle of living your dreams, you have a but? But this. In the grandness of your life, you actually spend time on the but. And you leave people hanging there for a moment. And then you leave the story. And you can leave a story and go back into the lesson and then pick it up 10 minutes later. 2 weeks later, I get a call from NBC. And they said, Miss Nichols, we'd love for you to consider doing a show with us. I said, what's the name of the show? They said, well, we're thinking the Lisa Nichols Show. And I'm thinking, I like that name. They build a studio for me while I'm in Africa with my son. I come back, I walk into the studio and there's wood panels and there's big pillows and there's my name, Lisa Nichols, and there's a picture of my afro and there's just all this cool stuff. And on the stage is a cream leather couch. I walk up to the stage. I sit down on the couch. Remember, show them. I touch it. It's leather. It is leather. It's nice leather. And the producers and the directors immediately begin to yell, Miss Nichols, do you like the wood? Miss Nichols, do you like the font? Miss Nichols, do you like the colors? I said, excuse me, wait. I got to do something that I was going to do on the Oprah show, but I didn't get to do it because she had stools. I smell the leather. And then I come back out and you go back to the lesson. And I said, sometimes you're trying to sit on someone else's couch. And God's trying to give you your own couch. A great story is willing to take your soil and till your soil a bit. It's willing to leave you pondering. A lot of times when you're presenting to someone or you're teaching someone, we're so concerned about the silence. And sometimes it's the very thing you need your listeners to have is silence. The discomfort of listening to their soul for a brief moment. So that's a story. And so I just want to show you that stories go in and out and lessons can be interjected. And the story becomes the glue. See, I taught you in between that, but it's going to be the smelling of the couch. That's the glue. And when you have great glue, people stick to you. When you have great glue. And the glue is in your story. So writing is a movie, just in written form. When I wrote No Matter What, I would get thousands of emails with people feeling like they had been with me, asking about my son Jaylani. They still check in to this day because they feel like we were together because I didn't tell them a story, I showed them a story. So in your blogs, unpack. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? It is going to take you more words. But the benefit on the other side, the ROI, is going to be that you painted such a clear picture for me that I now am not reading your blog, I'm with you. Now we're in relationship. What does that do? It increases my longevity and my loyalty to you. So as a blogger and anything in written form, book, written form, I recommend unpacking the experience. And when you unpack the experience, you take me in the inside. You take me behind the black curtain. What was going on? Where were you going? It's going to feel more vulnerable. I promise you this, you will write it and then you'll wonder if you should press post. If you wonder if you should press post, reread it. If there's so much energy in it that you feel like I'm going to be afraid of people knowing this, press post faster. Don't back away from it. A lot of times the way you get it out best first is you record it because you talk a little more. You'll be a little more explorative. I was interviewed by Essence Magazine, 8.9 million readers, about my weight release. I don't call it my weight loss because I don't want to find it. It's a weight release. It's forever gone. And I was just talking and I let them post the story the way I told it. And I refused to edit it because I knew I'd edit out everything that made me feel uncomfortable. Well, when it came out and 8.9 million people were reading it, plus, because it was online, I started getting an influx of emails and calls. I only read it after it was published. Was I comfortable with it? No, I wasn't. Was it some of my best work ever produced? Yes, it was. And it raises the bar. And it also drew 10,260 people into my database. It was the glue. It literally was the glue. The show on Steve Harvey added about 46,000 people to my Facebook. And on that video that went viral, I didn't say my name. My name wasn't at the bottom. They had to hunt for me and find me. I tell you, in any form of communication, your job is to build the spokes to get to your market in the way by which it draws them back to you. Every road that leads to your market should have a story in it. Whether it's a marketing piece of collateral material, online material, whether it's a blog, whether it's a book, whether it's online, whether it's live, everything that leads from you to your market should include a story in your marketing material. Not just anecdotal testimonial, but in your marketing material, tell the story. I love marketers because you're creative. You already think in colors. Marketers already think in colors. You think colors, you think context. I'm going to challenge you as a marketer. And if you're a business owner, you're a marketer. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a marketer. If you're the brand, you're a marketer because you have to know how to talk to people in such a way that they follow you, that they find you. You do that inside the commitment of purpose and delivery and result, and you also do it inside the story because the story allows them to choose you to be the deliverer of that content. Newsflash, you're not the only one that does what you do. They have choices. Everyone that's looking for you is looking for someone else. They're looking for the result that you can produce more than they're looking for you. Why would they look for you over the result? Through your story. I want you to really hear what I just said. If someone wants to transform their life, they can pick me or Jack or Tony or Yanla, or they can pick 1,000 people, 2,000. What will make them choose me is that they feel connected to me. What will make them feel connected to me is the relevancy that we have. And so there's not one piece of business that you will do that doesn't have your story be relevant in it. Not one. And the one thing that I would love to help you do, and what I've done here is heightened your awareness on the relevancy of stories. Taught you one quick technique on how to make a dip. There's so many other layers to a great story, and there's so many things you need to practice in a great story. So many ways you know how to get in the story and out of the story. One of the ways of getting in the story is to not say, I want to share a story with you. Don't ever announce your story. Drop into your story. Don't ever say, I'm going to share a story. Pastors do that all the time in church. I'm going to share a story. I always go in my head because I'm kind of bad. Just share the story. Don't tell me I'm going to share the story. Just share the story. Don't announce anything. Just give it to me because it's a little more edgy. It keeps me on the edge of my seat. I don't ever want to know what's coming because then you keep my undivided attention. So in a story, don't say, I was shocked. Just shock me. And if you set me up, say, what happened next forever changed my path. Now you got me on the edge versus saying my path was forever changed. Just the tweak of words keeps the listener, like I'm scooting to my edge right now telling you, it keeps me to the edge to go, what happened next? What happened next? What happened next? And you get me to the point, I love when I hear people say, I couldn't blink. I couldn't breathe while you were talking. I had to go to the bathroom so bad, but I couldn't move. I didn't want to miss anything. Like, who does that in an educational session when you're blending great stories in? And so it all leads back to what value you're bringing your audience, what value you're bringing your consumer, what value you're bringing. And this happens everywhere. Stories with your children. I'm not just speaking of just business, stories with your children. I love it when my nieces or my nephews say, Auntie, tell me that story again. But the story has a lesson in it. And so I'll walk away with 3 points. 1 is your story is the glue that sticks all of your content together. 2, your dip is relevant because it picks up every prospective student or audience member that you want to have. And 3, stories are the things that define your unique serving proposition. And so stories are critical. If anything, I wanted to up-level the necessity and the urgency or the importance of stories. To tell a great story, you need to agree to show it over telling it. To show a story, you need to be willing to tell me what you were thinking, what you were feeling, what was going on in your head, what was going on in your heart. Be willing to take greater risk. And at the end of the story, you want to end the story in a crescendo. Always a crescendo. Tell a great story like Chicken Soup for the Soul tells stories. I co-authored 2 Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and I read 5,500 stories to come up with the best 200 stories because they have to end in a crescendo or else it's a da-don't. So make sure you learn how. That's the craft of a storyteller. You don't just end it in any way. You end it in a crescendo. Find out how. And then you create a bridge from your story back to your content. It has to make sense and be relevant on why that story was placed right there. So ending a story on a crescendo says, when I tell the story of my son, and my son, he would break his Tonka toy, and my son would break his toys in 14 days, no matter what he did. So I brought my son a toy and I expected to break in 14 days. Well, it didn't break in 14 days. I would normally only spend $14 for a toy, but this toy I spent $44 for. It was a Mattel Tonka toy. And I talk about how my son played with this toy for 2 years and it never broke. And I then go into speaking about how my son did everything to this toy, but this toy wouldn't break. I was surprised that the toy wouldn't break, but Mattel wasn't. Mattel built this toy to last. Mattel built this toy to outlast my son. Mattel knew my son was going to pick this toy up and drop it 1,000 times. So when they built the toy to last. And I say, when you were built, when you were designed by your creator, you were built knowing that you were going to go through some things. When you were built, when you were on the assembly line, when you were being created, you were built to last. Now, at the beginning of the story, I'm just talking about a toy. And then all of a sudden I turn it out to you. You are like that Mattel Tonka toy. You were built with resiliency, perseverance. You were built with everything you need. Thus I say, as you're building your career, know that you have everything you need. Just like that Tonka toy. You have everything that you were designed, everything that's going to overcome obstacles, overcome urgency, overcome challenges. You have exactly what you need. So when you're building the bridge and you're crescendoing, crescendos only happen when you take it back out to the audience. The story doesn't end with you. The story ends with the audience. So they can put it back in their pocket and make it their own again. And most people, when they turn inward, it collapses and it becomes contrite. When you turn outward, it expands. So every story at the end, the bridge at the end, has to take it back to me. How is my life better? WIIFM. What's in it for me? Every story told has to have something in it for the person that's listening. And you don't make them search. You hand it to them. You are a Tonka toy. So every time it gets hard, I want you to say, it's Tonka. Tonka, Tonka time. It's Tonka, Tonka, Tonka time. And then if I was in front of an audience, the entire audience begins to go, it's Tonka, Tonka, Tonka time. Come on, you guys. It's Tonka, Tonka, Tonka time. Do you know I've had so many people, thousands of people come to me. I had a neurosurgeon said every day in my career is life and death. Every day. He said, I immediately left your seminar and I bought a mini Tonka truck. And I sit on my desk. And whenever I'm on my way into a particularly difficult brain surgery, I touch my Tonka trunk and I say, it's Tonka trunk. And master the way you weave it into your offer, you weave it into your content. Master storytelling isn't something you just do in happenstance. It is something that you practice, you perfect. It is a craft like everything else you do. It's a craft. And when you master it, when you've elevated your ability to insert it inside those critical moments, you will see everything else is up leveled. It's the cinnamon, it's the nutmeg, it's the cherry, it's the whipped cream on top of everything you're already doing. It makes it all feel better. It makes it all more palatable. It takes it all to the next level. It's the secret sauce. Stories serve as the cement while your content is the bricks. Stories are the connection between you and your audience. A dip is necessary so that you pick up everyone in your audience. A dip shows the big you. It shows that all-time low relevant to whatever your topic is. And then it takes it to why you're inspired to do what you do. A dip is necessary. A dip gets you from 1 minute of media to 5 minutes of media. A dip is that thing that causes people to remember your name. If you walk away with one thing, walk away saying, I have to learn my dip. Dips are a part of your story. Stories are best shared when they're shown, not told. The way you show a story versus tell a story is you tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, what was going on through your head, what was going on through your heart. Expose some of the emotions that were happening. Don't tell me you were mad, show me you were mad. Don't tell me you were scared, show me you were scared. And finally, bridges. It's very important to create a bridge going into your story and a bridge coming out of your story. That connects back to your content and back to what you're selling. You can create bridges coming in stories and out of stories that allows us to have what I call teachable moments while I'm still telling the story. And when you're telling a great story and you want to move to a teachable moment, you want to invite the people that are listening by saying, write this down. And that gives them an indicator. I'm going back from story to content. When you simply say, write this down. And in the end, you are a griot. You are a storyteller. We were born to be storytellers. Stories are the fabric by which we love. That's why we love movies. Every movie you've seen is a thriller story, an adventure story, a love story, or a drama story. We live for great stories. So interject, become quite comfortable with your story. My last point, your story is yours. So I want you to begin to share your story to you first, and then begin to share to the rest of us. And every story doesn't have to end Pollyanna and perfect. Some stories, the greatest part of the story was the lesson learned. And when you've learned a lesson and you're willing to share your story with me, you're sharing your lesson with me. And I'm grateful for that. And so stories are critical. Stories are the pulse of humanity. And when you give the pulse of humanity as a gift to them, people will give you a gift back, called their loyalty and their love, their transparency and their business. I've run into hundreds of thousands of people, and they say, I want to harness my speaking ability. And these people are doctors, they're counselors, they're parents. They're not people who want to be staged, but speaking is required in everything you do. And what I love about this course is that I teach you things like how to master the art of enrollment. If you're a parent, you just want to master the art of enrollment, right? If you have a husband or a wife, you want to master the art of enrollment, how to own your voice. See, so many times we haven't really owned our voice yet. And then understand how to speak to inspire, not to impress, how to take people into a valley and bring them back out into a light. Like I love when I created this course and the content in it, I thought what could take someone the furthest no matter what. No matter what business they were in, no matter where they lived in the world, no matter their culture, no matter their religion, what can help take them the furthest? And what I really appreciate about this course is a lot of it I taught from what I needed as a woman, what I needed as a daughter. How did I need to have conversations with my parents that were uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to have them, which is why I'm really adamant about the part in the course that talks about how to have carefrontation instead of confrontation. Like that to me is relationship saving. Like if you're in a relationship with someone that you love and you want to stay in that relationship, then you better learn carefrontation real fast and replace confrontation with carefrontation. No one teaches that. One of the classes is just focused on how do you replace confrontation with carefrontation. That's worth the price of this course by itself. And then how to have conversations, not performances, so that you come across authentic every single time. Because even though you might feel you're being authentic, if the people that are listening to you don't, then your truth doesn't matter because their perception of you is really their truth. How do you show up as authentic every single time? Like I talked about the things that I struggled with. So I first built on the things that I needed help with because I figure if I needed that help, then you can use that support. And so I first coach the modules. The longest module is 19 minutes and like 42 seconds. Like that's the longest course. So it's tight. It's like a shot of B12. It's a shot of energy. It's a shot of content. And then every day I have you put in one more layer of action, small action. Well, some days it's kind of big. But at the end of 30 days, what I love is that if you choose, and it has to be your choice, if you choose to be active every single day, and if you choose every day, and there's some rest days, there's some days where you have nothing to do but reflect and just kind of marinate on the stuff that we did the day before. But on the days that I give you something to do, if you choose to take action and do the self-work every day for 30 days, there's no way, I say this, there is no way in 30 days that you can be the same person you were at the beginning of the journey. There's no way. I love my life today, but if there are some things that I could tweak, I don't take back anything that I've experienced, but I wish I would have done it with a tribe. I wish I would have had community. I wish I would have had people walking the journey with me at that same pace with me, watching me grow while I watch them grow, cheering each other on. One of the things I love the most is that tribe impact. And teaching the content, the self-work that I give you, some of it's just about supporting each other. So you'll see these bursts of moments when everyone's loving on you because that was their homework and you're loving on them. And when you get a circular energy where everyone's giving love, it becomes like this spontaneous combustion of possibility. What better space to live in? And I'm so grateful to it because I didn't have that. So I love the concept. You give and you teach and you serve, not only from what you want, but also from what you needed. And I needed this. I needed a tribe like this. So I'm grateful. See, the distance between you and everything you want and need is communication. That's the distance between you and everything. All things start with how you communicate. All things end with how you communicate it. And so this is that game changer tool that puts something in your back pocket that you didn't have before. And you can pull it out for a prospective consumer. You can pull it out for a friend. You can pull it out for your children. You can pull it out for him or her. You pull it out whenever you need it because now you have it. It's the ultimate connector. What I love about this program is that what's one person's gift can be another person's skill set. You know, Michael Jordan, basketball player, he got cut from the basketball team and he was given the role of the manager of the basketball team. All he could do was gather basketballs. And then he began to learn the skill set and he became Michael Jordan. I believe we all have our Michael Jordan in us. I believe we all have that superpower, that super thing we've been designed to do. I believe that the distance between us and it sometimes, the distance between us and the people who can help get us there is our communications or our presence. So I'm honored to bring forth something that I know is going to transform someone's life. It might be yours. It might be your friends. It might be your child's. I know that when you're able to harness your power, stand in your conviction, and deliver a message that can make you unforgettable and help people to fall madly in love with you, all of a sudden we don't walk this journey by ourselves as much. I know the number one thing that people feel, even in a group of others, is alone. I've heard it 100, 1,000 times, is that even around people I feel alone. Well, I know the connector, the number one connector, is communication. It's voice. And so allow me to give you the gift of connection. It'll come in a package in a program, 30 days. It'll have a process. It'll be somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes a day. It'll have a structure. It'll require you to invest. But at the end of the day, it's the gift of ultimate connection. And then you write us back and tell us what happened when you played full out. Write us back and tell us how life looks different 6 months down the line, a year down the line, how all of a sudden you've harnessed this ability to create this divine connection, divinely inspired connection with people all over the world or right in your house. Allow me to do that for you. So let's first start by changing your relationship to fear. Now, this won't change overnight, but what can change right now is your awareness and your understanding about fear. So our current, many people, and yours maybe, current relationship to fear is that fear is bad. And people say, oh, I'm afraid, I need to get more clarity, I'm afraid. And our relationship to fear is that we get to stop until the fear goes away. Well, what if you realized that fear is not the enemy, that fear is the friend? Fear is an emotion like any other feeling. Fear is like compassion. What if you found out that fear had the same power as compassion? That fear is like joy. Fear is like love. If you think about it, you have all these emotions. Fear is just one of them. We simply give fear more power. And we make fear the bad guy. Well, fear is tired of being the bad guy. Fear is not the bad guy. Fear is an emotion like any other emotion. And what it does when you use it correctly is fear feeds you information. Get this. When I learned this was everything to me. Because mind you, you're listening right now to someone who was afraid, paralyzed by fear for 5 years before I ever started speaking. I knew I wanted to be a speaker for 5 years before I ever opened my mouth. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of being judged because I was an African-American woman. I was afraid that people wouldn't listen to me because I was overweight at the time. I was afraid of people not listening to me because I was from Los Angeles and my family didn't have any money. I had a long list of why I was afraid to open my mouth and speak. And so fear touches all of us. It's what you do with it that will make the difference in your world. So if you think about fear like this, fear is actually feeding me information. Fear is feeding you information to say, go get more information about that topic so you feel more powerfully. So you dissipate the fear. Fear says, hold on, you might need help. Fear is always talking to you. Fear is slow down. You know when you're afraid something's going too fast? Okay, don't let fear paralyze you, just slow down. Or fear says, hold on, I'm afraid that this opportunity might pass me, so I need to speed up. Fear can also put you in action. Fear can slow you down. Fear can make you do your research. Fear can have you go get a coach. Fear is always feeding you. If you look at fear as an informant, fear is informing you. So don't make fear the enemy. Just ask fear, what do you need? Okay, so I'm feeling afraid. What do I need to dissipate the fear into the nothingness that it always was? Because get this, here's the other thing. Write this down. This is some banana stuff. When I found this out, this was way cool. Fear is a made up story about something that hasn't even happened yet in the future. You made the story up. Let me give you an example. I know I just dropped a deep one on you. So I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt in a relationship. You haven't gotten hurt. You just made up that story and projected into your future. I'm afraid that my business might not work and then I'll lose my money. It hasn't happened yet. You made up a story. You literally made up a story and then projected into your future and then felt the energy called fear that came back from a story you made up in the first place. Oh, when I got that, like, oh my God, every time I get fearful about something that hasn't happened yet, I'm making up the story. So just as you made up that story, why don't you make up another story that empowers you? Because you made up the first story that made you afraid, make up the second story. So when you say, I'm afraid I'm going to get in front of people and I'm afraid I'm going to mess up and they're going to laugh at me. Okay, you can live with that story or you can make up another story. I'm going to be human. I'm going to be normal. I'm going to be amazing. They're going to love me. I won't be a Lisa Nichols. I won't be a Tony Robbins. I won't be a Barack Obama. I won't be a Nelson Mandela, but I'll be me. And they'll accept me for me.
Let's use the power of your mind today to create your ideal life. Your future experiences will start in your mind first. So let's take a journey into your most creative, free, and powerful place ever, your imagination. We become what we most think about. Your new possibilities and successes can be created by you and only you. You will become what you think about every day. So let's cut away all limiting thoughts. Rise above your fears to the place of freedom and creation. Stand in your power. Success is your birthright. Move in this moment from optional to non-negotiable. Every great leader, prophet, visionary, role model, and legend visualized their future before they took action. Know that you have as much right to the joy, love, happiness, and abundance as any other living creature on this planet. And it's yours for the asking and creating. After all, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Now, choose a quiet place. Turn off your phone. Clear your mind. Everything you need to do will be there waiting for you on the other side of this journey. Let it all go for now. Relax and release any physical tension in your body. Become more committed in this moment to your inner images than to your physical presence. Now, I want you to take a deep cleansing breath with me, filling your abdominal area full of breath. And as you exhale, gently feel your body sinking into a relaxed state. To help you go deep into your mind, I'm going to guide you gently through the relaxation of your entire physical body. Feel your scalp relax. Feel this gentle feeling of relaxation flow down your forehead. Now, feel that sensation of relaxation on your eyelids. Feel that slowly flowing throughout your entire body. Feel that soothing feeling on your face and your throat, your neck, your shoulders. Feel your shoulders sink into deep relaxation. Good. Now your upper arms, your hands, your chest, your abdomen, your thighs. Feel your knees relax, your calves, your feet. And now feel that feeling of relaxation flow all the way down to your toes. You have amazingly healthy relationships around you. You have created the type of relationships where you celebrate one another's victories, honor each other's imperfections, and communicate to one another what you need. You have loving people around you, whether it's just one, two, or whether it's many. They've watched you grow and learn. And they've come through some challenging times with you. And you've stood the test of time together. You may have walked through an illness together, side by side, supported one another through financial times, provided each other a shoulder to lean on, or held one another through a hurting heart. You have been there. You've put in your time. You're committed and you trust one another. You've chosen to show up for each other, and today you get to live joyously within this safe community. Whether it be a community of 1, a community of 5, or a community of 7, or even more. This is your safe community. See yourself having learned how to ask for what you need, how to set healthy boundaries, how to be more transparent and share your heart, share what's on your mind, share what's in your soul. And man, everyone loves to hear from you, loves to share with you. Now see your friends and family having learned the same skill set. And together you're growing, learning how to communicate with one another. You're enjoying great communication. You're enjoying great exchange. You're enjoying how to stay in harmony. You've learned those things, and now you feel as one. You breathe one breath. You dance to one beat. And you've learned how to prioritize your love for one another. Visualize yourself having learned how to release and press reset more often, how to enjoy the quality of the relationship, and to recognize how the quality of your life is not determined by how many people that you know, but by the quality of the relationships of the people that you know. You are committed to increasing that quality in every single exchange every day. You don't miss the opportunity to say thank you. I love you. I miss you. I apologize. I'm here for you, or I'm proud of you. See yourself saying that. I want you to visualize right now, who do you bring into the room with you? Who are they? Which family member is it that you want to say something like that to? You want to say, I love you. I miss you. I'm so proud of you. Who do you want to talk to right now? Let's talk to them. Let's say it all. See, because in this place, you leave no stone unturned. You say it all. I love you. I love you from my core. I always have. I'm here for you. I'm proud of you. See them now. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to one of your children? Are you talking to someone that you love romantically? Are you talking to a parent, a friend? Are you talking to a family member? Who are you talking to? See them. Feel them in your presence. Now talk to them. Say those words. Thank you. I apologize. I'm here for you. Your opinion matters to me. See yourself right now. Be with them. You've learned how to say what you need to say, and you never miss the opportunity to show them love. And man, they start showing it back to you in a way that you never even thought imagined. They turn up the volume for you as you've turned up the volume from them, and all of a sudden, you are living in blissful relationships. See yourself having amazing family and social experiences with great friends, exquisite cuisine, soul-stirring music, belly-aching laughter, and fabulous pictures, creating great memories. You recognize that your life is about creating great memories, and you are so committed to creating great memories. And you look up, and so many people have laughed because you've added joy to their lives. And so many people felt good because you may have gone in the kitchen and cooked them a good meal. or they feel comforted because you gave them that great soul-felt hug where you didn't rush to let go. You held them for a minute, and then you realize that you too have allowed yourself to be held by your friends. You've allowed yourself to love deeply. You've allowed yourself to trust someone. You've allowed yourself to be poured into. You realize that you are in a divine exchange with your family, a divine exchange with your friends, a divine exchange with your coworkers and your team members, a divine exchange with the peoples whose paths that you cross daily. You are in a most divine exchange, and you have committed to show up and play full out. And because you have, you change the life of everyone's path who you cross, and you also allow them to change yours. Yes, feel that. Feel how good that feels. I don't know about you, but that makes my toes curl. That makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. That reminds me of my purpose every day. Slowly begin to feel your back against the chair or wall again. Deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Come back. Join me. Begin to breathe again and feel your breath. Feel your breathing. Begin to come back into the room. When you're ready, begin to come back into your body, hearing the sounds in your now environment. And then opening your eyes slowly. Welcome back. Go throughout your day thinking about and reciting positive affirmations that support and add great energy to this creative visualization. Remember this in everything that you do. As said in the Sermon on the Mount, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks, receive. The one who seeks, finds. And the one who knocks, the door will be opened. That's always fresh for me, always powerful for me. And remember, along with that you must be in bold, radical action towards your goals. Ideas and visualizations are worthless without action. And finally, accept that your visualization is so. Accept it to be your truth. This is your future being shown to you like a motion picture with you as the star. All you need to know is to be in action, have unwavering faith, and to have a purpose bigger than yourself. I'm your sister in this journey, and I believe in you.